What would you say to these Marines? It seems like they're going to send 5,000. In Israel, there are reports that they're not going to send any troops. What would you say to them if this is happening? And where do you think this invasion would be?
I don't support the war, but I support the Marines and our men and women that are going over there. I just don't believe in the reasoning they're being put into harm's way. I don't want any of them to be harmed. I don't want any Iranians to be harmed. And I think that's a legitimate opinion. People could say that that's not realistic. Well, I get that, but emotions are different than reality. I don't wish death on anybody, and that's it. I don't know, man. I wish everybody the ability to come back home and be with their families and friends and not be killed for this war that that's criminal and unprovoked and illegal. And so, man, I am very distraught with the idea that they're gonna try to take that island, and I think it's foolish to have foolhardy support for it. And I think, I just don't have that in me anymore, given what I've seen and how I see it now and all that.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody else's opinion, again, to reiterate, then we shouldn't take seriously other than yours. And based off of your analysis, do you think that that's a correct assumption that they are going to reach Kargh Island? Or a greater question, where do you think they're going to go? Because it's a big mountainous region. Obviously, they want to reopen the Strait of Hormuz for the U.S. There's mines everywhere. Where can we expect this sort of invasion to happen with your experience in the Marines?
Yeah, Iran is, outlasted Napoleon and Genghis Khan. I mean, they're just the geographics that surround them are a natural barrier, and so I believe they know how to defend their country very well. So I don't think this bodes well for any invading territory or any invading force. And again, I don't know how this will all play out. I would imagine if they can shoot missiles to Israel, they can shoot missiles to an island right off their shores. So, I mean, wouldn't that be something? And have they probably, fortified that island already? And I don't know what to expect, man. I've hoped that it wouldn't happen so much to the point where I haven't seen or researched what the fallout would be if they do.
Yeah, but based off the Iraq War, which is a very easy comparison, the IRGC is nothing like the Iraqi military. These people, they're much greater in numbers. They are much more prepared. They have learned from the mistakes of their neighbors in Syria and Iraq. This is not going to be the same war. Again, the war in Iraq was over in several weeks. It was the ground troops that had to be stationed to implement regime change. This is going to be somewhat impossible, completely impossible in Iran to really have successful regime change. Trump is trying to brag and say that we killed the Ayatollah, so we changed the regime. No, real regime change is leaving thousands of ground troops for years to make sure that the government stays the way that they want it to stay as. Just because they killed an 86-year-old Khomeini with cancer does not mean they actually implemented regime change. So they're going to go in and fight a military that's much more prepared, that's ready to die for this cause, that has set up traps everywhere, where there's a mountainous region, where they saw what happened in Iraq. It is going to be disastrous compared to that war. So best of luck to them, and I highly recommend that people don't enlist. What advice would you give if there is going to be a draft? How do you think that people should respond to the officers knocking on our door telling us to fight?
I would definitely reject it and say hell no. Even anybody who's in now, a conscientious objection is a feasible and rational and acceptable route for anybody to take if they personally feel like they don't want to believe in this war. Nobody's in the military is going to offer that to you as an option, but it is part of policy that will legally protect you, and you can keep your VA benefits after even doing that, and you can still keep an honorable discharge. And also, I do think that this war, a key aspect of it is to weaken American forces by throwing ourselves at this Iranian again at Iran, and we're going to deplete our our military forces. We've already done that quite a lot. We're going to deplete our economy. We're throwing $2 billion a day at this war. And I think this leaves America in a weakened state. And if Israel isn't contributing any of their treasure or blood, then where is their sacrifice? And they will elevate themselves while America diminishes. And I think Israel is exploiting us and using us to fight their wars while they sit on the sidelines as their God's chosen people and let us, the Goyim, fight it for them. And I think this is all playing out to their benefit, and I think that is criminal, and I think Americans should wake up to that and say this is bullshit and say no. But sadly, Trump is more devoted to Netanyahu and his billionaires that are going to profit off of this than the American people.
Brian McGinnis, thank you so much. A hero, a real patriot. I appreciate your time so much. I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're a family man. You know, you got a busy house, the cat's running around. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. A real hero. And I really got to say, man, seeing you with that moment of courage in there inspired something in us all. Hearing you speak up about this when it's the most difficult thing you could possibly talk about is extremely commendable. This is something that is, around the country. This is a real story that people need to hear. And so I have the utmost respect for somebody like you. It's not to overly, it's really an honor to have this conversation. Thank you for everything that you do. I hope to speak again. Best of luck running for Senate. November 3rd, we can vote for Brian McGinnis and the Green Party.
Thank you so much, Sneako. It's been an honor to talk with you. And I'm not a hero. I've been with a lot of them, but I'm not a hero.
You are. You really are, Brian. I hope you know that.
Thanks, brother. Thank you so much.
Have a great rest of your night, and I hope to speak to you soon. God bless you, Brian.
Yes, sir. You too, man.
Peace.
Peace.